Welcome to the Couples Cave, a forum for growth and enrichment of our families and our marriages. Today we are talking about the topic on love. A quote is attributed to somebody that said, "A woman that is loved by her husband grows in loveliness, and a man that is respected by the wife becomes respectable." Today I'm joined by a panel of my friends and colleagues in ministry, and we shall be exploring the topic of love and respect. Without much ado, I would like, beginning on my right, one of our co-hosts to introduce themselves. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Pastor Silas Wekesa, our FC pastor here. God bless you.
Thank you. I'm Emily Jambi Wahinya.
Thank you for having me. I'm lay pastor Camilita, and I'm glad to be with you today.
Thank you. My name is Pastor Thomas Sitati, and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Pastor Dennis, and I'm glad to be here. Amen.
Amen. And we also have the privilege and the honor to have a very wonderful audience. Praise be to God. So my name is Pastor Moses. I will be the host for this show today. Let's proceed on. Like I said, today we shall be talking about love and respect. And I put it out here to the panel and to the audience today. What are these things that when people do to you, you feel disrespected? And what are these things that people do and you feel respected? So in essence, we want to explore these two ingredients of love and respect. And how can we build on these two ingredients to build our marriage into marriages that last, into marriages that are stronger? There is a word that says stronger together or better together. So these two ingredients will make us stronger together and better together. What are some of these things that, and I put this question to our panel this afternoon, what do you think are some of the things that bring disrespect in families or in marriages? And what are some of these things that bring respect in families and in marriages?
Yes. Thank you, Pastor Moses. I think one of the things that I feel brings disrespect is familiarity. When you stay with someone for a long time, you become very familiar with that person, and you can start disrespecting the person because of familiarity. Yes.
Familiarity, wow, that is very profound. Familiarity, I think the Swahili word for familiarity is kuzoeana. Kuzoeana. Unakaa na mkeo mnazoeana naye. Aha. The audience, do you have anything to say about this answer that we have received from one of our panels on familiarity? Is it a truth or a myth?
For me, I think there's some truth in that. When you stay with someone for too long, there's a way you get used to them. So if you're not careful, there's a way you can take advantage of them. The fact that you come home, find them there, you come the next day, they are still there. 2 years, 10 years down the line, they are still there. So there's some possibility in that. Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
To add on what Pastor Wekesa has said, it's very true that when you're very familiar with someone, you cannot appreciate them. For example, if someone bought you something and they brought you a gift and you don't say thank you, it shows that you're very familiar with that person to the extent that you cannot appreciate what they give you, what they've gone out of their way to bring you. And actually that shows, to some extent, disrespecting the person. Because when you're given something, we always tell children, when I give you something, you say, thank you. And then as adults, if we go to that extent where we get used to the people we live with, that we do not appreciate what they do for us. So I think, yes, it's very true that familiarity can make someone feel disrespected.
How do we deal with familiarity? We've seen that this is a threat, and marriage is built to last. So we will stay with the love of our lives until God says, this is the time for one of you or both of you to go home. So until then, how do we address this issue of familiarity?
Thank you, Pastor Moses. Maybe just to address that. I think it's the picture of how you look at it, or the perspective. When you're getting married to this person, you are saying for better, for worse, and you had a picture and there's a way you are looking at it and you're like, this person is just for me, How did it end up again changing the picture, the whole thing? So I think the picture should not change. It should remain that this is the person I chose for myself, whether they are ups or whether they are downs or what is happening, whatever is happening, I should still uphold them for who they are. Yes, because in the journey of marriage, things, they change along the way. And there are things, even as Pastor Kamelit is saying, it's just the aspect of appreciating every phase of life, what is happening. You just appreciate. There's a time you didn't have children. Now you're appreciating that children are there. And there are changes that comes with children. There are things that they happen as phases of lives, they come in. Yeah.
Wonderful. Let us hear from our audience today. How do we counter the threat of familiarity to our spouses? And remember, we are also addressing the aspect of familiarity in our families, because the Couples Cave is also about building lasting families. And we know that the genesis is two coming together. So how do we ensure that we deal with the threat of familiarity in our homes?
Thank you, Pastor Moses. I would start by saying that we should appreciate the roles that the couples play in a family. The husband is the head of the family, and the wife is there to assist. And once we know that, then no matter what happens, we'll always appreciate the role, and we'll differentiate between knowing somebody too much and knowing their role. For instance, as a husband, probably you can decide one time to cook, and probably it becomes like a habit. And so you're there, you're a wife, you think that probably that is his position. And because you've been doing it and maybe you enjoy it, probably sometimes visitors come and then you'll be sent to the kitchen to go and do the same thing that you've been doing. See, if I know your role, I know that you're a father or you're a mother, no matter what happens, whether you grow old or you become immobilized in one way or another, or you're unwell, you still remain a father. So if we really put into consideration, or we appreciate the roles that each of the couples play, then that demarcation, that division, that separation will be put in place.
Wow, thank you, Winston. We can get another reaction from the audience.
I think just being careful to play our roles, as our brother Winston is saying, where the Bible is commanding the husbands to love and the women to respect. If we are able to follow up on that, I think we will not get familiar to one another. Because if you know, that familiarity is where one party fails to do their role, whereby the man stops loving the wife as he loved her when he first decided, or when they were getting married, or the wife stopping respecting the husband. I think that's where the familiarity starts, whereby if you stop doing what you did first, or the first few years when you gotten married, then you start getting being familiar with one another. You stop respecting one another. And in terms of if the wife knew that my husband is a good brother, born again, he cannot slap me. They start getting familiar to this brother who is harmless because he loves the Lord. You know, and I think it's not good to take advantage, because sometimes I see that happen a lot, whereby the sisters knows that this brother is born again, and he knows that his hands are also born again. And so they can be tempted to get familiar with brothers. And of course, the brother can also know, my wife loves the Lord, loves me, and they can start, misbehaving. And, not being able to love them the way they are supposed to love them, or support them the way they are supposed to support them. And so, and just being careful to remind ourselves that we are called, if it is for us brothers, to love our wives. And for our sisters, our wives, they are called to respect and honor their husbands. Thank you.
Amen. So, thank you so much, Pastor Njeri, and for for that elaboration. C.S. Lewis is a renowned theologian. He said that consider your marriage or your partner as a tank, like a vehicle tank or an automobile tank, There are vehicles that run on diesel, and that there are vehicles that runs on petrol. And you go to an extra length, there's even super petrol. And so once you understand that, you talked about two things, roles. Once you know what you're supposed to do, you appreciate that this is my partner and this is their limits, then you are able to really respect them and show them honor. And then C.S. Lewis was saying, men live on respect and women run on love. So that if we don't show love to the woman that God has given you, then just like a vehicle that you don't put fuel constantly, and it is the kind of fuel that is important for us to note, because a vehicle that runs on petrol, if you can't put diesel, the engine will knock, and when it knocks, then there will be no movement, there will be limitation, and then a number of other things will come out from there. So I think once we understand that, then we are good to go. On to my panel. I know Pastor Wekesa talked about familiarity. What is the other threat that hinders people from respecting one another or loving one another in the marriage setting?
Let me just respond to that. Thank you, Pastor Moses.
Welcome.
In marriage, sometimes we expect too much from each other. Let me take an example of a stay-at-home mother who is left at home with one or two kids to take care of, and when the father comes back, expects that the food is ready, the kids have been washed, and everything is ready. That comes from our African setup, where a woman is expected to do everything. And I think living a day at a time has taken me a long way to understand my husband and even to understand myself. Today, I may be able to do what is expected of me, everything that is expected of me in the house, but tomorrow, I may fail to do as expected. And I think as couples, we should learn to appreciate each other and live a day at a time. Going back to just knowing that your partner will be there and you expect them to do A, B, C, D each and every day. When it's my birthday, expect a present. And I think we should move from that you live a day at a time. When he has remembered and he's able to bring something, I will appreciate that. If he has not been able to remember it's my birthday and he came home, it's a Mother's Day, he didn't bring me flowers or something, I should also appreciate that. Each and every day has its own challenges, and it also comes with its own blessings. He didn't come home with a present, but at least he came home. Yeah? There are those who sent a present, they sent a bunch of flowers, but then they didn't make it home for some reason or the other. So I think just living a day at a time is also very, very important.
Thank you. Pastor Sitati.
Thank you very much. Some of the things that causes disrespect in relationship or marriage, the way you have said, and sometimes we don't observe boundaries. If we don't understand that this is my husband or this is my wife, and set a boundary, or you yourself, you know you are married, and you don't set boundaries, just like you hug everyone, you are a married man, then you hug every woman that comes on your way, or you are a husband who just hug everyone. You don't set boundary to yourself. Other issue that causes disrespect so much, maybe not to believers, but people to the world, flittering with everyone. And actually, you know you are married, but you don't take keen of that. You just out there, doing it the way you want. And later on, come to your home. Then you want maybe your wife or your husband to respect you. No one will want that. No one will want to respect you if somebody you are married by just flittering outside there. Of course, people will not know, but your conscience will even harm you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's get some reaction from our lovely audience today. What's your feeling about that? You can also respond to what are these threats to love and respect in marriage. I know Pastor Sitati has talked about lack of limitation. You don't know how far you need to stretch. And there are things perhaps you do which are a hindrance to your spouse or your partner in marriage. And if you do that and they express for the first time that this for me is a no-no, and then you do it again, then you're hindering one person or you're hindering the other person. What else or how else can we address these issues? We can also feel free to point them out. What are some of these issues? Lack of boundary, lack of respect to a personal space, you know, and just like salvation, people are in a public transport, unaona mtu amepigiwa simu, simu za siku hizi unajua zina speaker kubwa kubwa, ama ni speaker zina nguvu. Utasikia tu bwana ameulizwa, Bwana Yesu asifiwe sana, anasema niko poa sana boss. You know, ni kama kwa ndoa sasa ni mtu ameoa lakini hataki ajulikane ameolewa ama ameoa. Understand? And I mean, this is not original to us. In scripture, in the book of Genesis, you remember Abraham, and it happens to Isaac again. Mahali umeenda na mke wako unasema au ni sister. Amsikiwe na wasiwasi huyu ni sister yangu. You know, yeah, people would feel offended, you know, like a woman who lives on love would feel offended, and that can be an issue that if it is not solved can bring issues in the marriage. How else and what else? Over to you.
Maybe I could start by saying that we are told that marriage is an institution, and an institution has a mission, values, so like there are rules to play by. And if we set rules as a couple or a family to be observed, if we make sure that we walk within those rules, that vision, that philosophy that we have, or what we expect as a family, then that helps check when we stray and it borders on to disrespect. For instance, if we say nobody raises a voice to anybody when there's an issue, or maybe we pinch each other or something like that, those are little rules that we set that help us know that, look, I'm going beyond the set boundaries, beyond the mission, the vision that we have for this family or as a couple. That's my observation.
Wonderful. Salome.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Well, I think for me, I would say being disrespectful is when you talk either badly to me you never used to do that, but maybe after some time you start either changing an attitude. You know, maybe let me speak for the women. We have a sixth sense. You will know when somebody is just trying to get into your nerves. But if when we got married, you never used to do some things, and then now you start to do them, then I will say that you're crossing the boundary. That's my view.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank you so much for that. And I think when I look at what Salome is alluding to, there are patterns that can show that something is off. You know, like she's saying, if I've known my husband to be this, and all of a suddenly, or over a given time, then they begin to respond in a manner that does not suggest that they are respectful, and this is not who they were, then that's a red flag right there, and that calls for something to be addressed. Somebody else? Yes, Pastor Jenga.
Thank you. I think one of major issues with couples, which leads to someone feeling like they're not respected or loved, is miscommunication. I believe in communication. I believe in talking to my wife. I believe in us handling the issue as it comes. And the moment communication is broken down, you find like I might be doing something and she might be thinking of me otherwise, you know, because definitely I'm doing my own things and I'm not informing her, and maybe she's like, Ujama, I have come late, I don't know even to explain. Explaining does not mean that nimekaliwa. Just a matter of kumwambia nimepata pancha, I'll be arriving at midnight. That I will find her happy and waiting for me, you know, and maybe I get that hug. Of course, we don't want to get hugs outside there, but I mean, let's learn to communicate. Mm-hmm. It has really affected couples, and I normally say, as we do communicate, even the least expected, you know, when someone calls or something happens, and I feel like let me make her know that this and this is happening, you know, because maybe you will keep quiet about something, then eventually it becomes an issue later in the marriage. And you know, I normally tell people there is no marriage undercover. You can't build a family undercover. It can't happen, you know. So communicate freely, avoid instances whereby I am even fearing that she can get hold of my phone, and I'm like, guy, kimeumana, you know. Communication is key. The second thing I normally tell couples, allow yourself to grow together. As I am growing, I don't want to leave her behind. You know, I don't want to, as she's growing, she don't want to leave me behind. I don't want us to be married for 20 years, but at 20th year, we are looking like two different people. Niko na huko juu ya kona huko chini, ama ako huko juu mimi niko na huko chini. That's how I tell people. And especially, and I think it's good to note here, I don't have any statistics about this, but I have seen and watched families break, especially when a lady has better income than the husband. And I have also seen families which have thrived simply because the wife have decided, this is my family, despite my husband is not making money, our money, my money is our money, you know. But and out of this is because that is someone who have believed in growing together. But for somebody who feels like this is my salary, I'm earning 100, you're earning 20, we are not thinking the same, I think it's wrong. We are supposed to, now as long as I'm married to Jennifer and she's my wife, whether she earns 100 and I earn 20, we bring it to 120. Communication and allowing us as a couple to to grow together. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of disrespect and lack of love.
Thank you so much. Maureen.
Thank you. As for me, I think some of us, in fact many of us, we forgot the foundations of marriages. We forgot to be the friends that we were before we got married. The little things that we did, going for movies. I know the world may change. Now we have been blessed with children, but please never forget the friendship that you had before you got married. My husband likes so much to watch movies. Just being there, for me, nimechoka. The whole day nimekuwa na watoto, we have done homework, but I just realized that just being there, hata kama nitalala, that presence means a lot. And it has reminded me, hata saa zingine he keeps on reminding me, tulikuwa tunafanya, we used to do this, what happened? And that has really challenged us. I think never stop being friends. Never stop being friends. I think that is my take home. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, your husband must love movies. You should keep him company watching movies. Because, you know, even Jesus, you remember, by the way, this story, even Jesus asked his disciples, you couldn't even wait for 1 hour. 1 hour. And the way he was saying it, he was like, manze, alikuwa amekwazika. Una understand? And you know, the Bible talks about the little foxes that spoil the vines. It's not big things. Even when we talk about disrespect or things that bring dishonor, they are not big things. Ni vitu kidogo kidogo. You know, maybe ulikuwa unaongea na mmeo kidogo kidogo umeanza kumklikia. You know, for example, for me that puts me off. Okay? And I know as this show continues to grow and as we continue to do more of these forums, we'll talk about even how do we understand the love languages for our spouses. Some people, they don't love a lot of things, but just to listen to them. Like for example, me, when I talk, I like looking into your eyes so that I see if you're following. So if you don't do that, I switch off. And utaniuliza ulimaliza, niko zile hiyo story tulimaliza. Na ijaisha, but I was turned off. And I think one of the things we are trying to look at in this session today is these things that turn off our love. And Maureen has talked about the things you used to do. And have you noticed, by the way, when people are dating, wanakuaga lavidavi sana, upendo inakuaga ingine, uwezi ukaipima. Sijui kama mmenotice hivyo, until umeoana sasa unasema sasa nimeshatoa gari showroom iko kwangu. Unajua hata ile gari usipoitunza na kuishughulikia haita remain kukua mbichi vile ilivyokuwa, si ni kweli? So we need to be aware of these things. And I know our brother has talked about communication, which is very, very good. And I want to give an opportunity to one of the panelists, Pastor Wekesa, to ask a question. But before that, on communication, there was a couple that loved each other so much. They were so much in love. If you find them in the street, they would PDA, public display of affection. Have you seen those couples? Baka wanashikanaga mkono, wanaenda kununua skuma ama kibiriti na wanarudi. No, those ones. And it is not a crime because maybe that is they understand their love languages. You know, before me I got married, one of the things I told my wife, my friend, you know you are my wife. And we are not marrying for the society. So me, this thing of lovey-dovey on the streets, me, I'm not into that business, okay? But you know my heart. You know I love. And we had that agreement so that even when we go where there's peer pressure, watu wanashikana mikono mama bega, we are able to contain that pressure because we've talked about it, communication, like you said. And there's this couple that I was talking about, wali kosana tu siku moja just because chakula ilipikwa and the husband said hii chumvi ni kali. Kwani ulipitisha chumvi aje? And then alisema na joke, kwani uliweka chumvi na mwiko? You know chumvi is supposed to be pinched. You know you pinch salt unaweka. So this guy, alikuwa na make fun. Kwani uliweka chumvi na mwiko? So I think the picture that the wife had in her mind, alikuwa kwani unaona mimi ni mtoto, mimi nitachukuaje mwiko niweke chumvi kwa chakula? You see, now that blew everything out of proportion. The guy was flying out the following morning, and so akaambia wife, of course wife amekasirika, so ameenda amelala. You know those little foxes when they come, hata kama mlikuwa mnakula pamoja kidogo kidogo, hata mwenye waga anatoa sahani kama ndio amekula wa mwisho, anakuachianga yako, na ukitaka kuongeza uende uongeze. So that's what happened. And very early in the morning, because the wife knows that this guy needs to be woken up. Ni wale watu wa kufinya alarm. Ukifinya alarm una snooze. So because hii makosa moja imekuja, wajaongeleshana, kila mtu ameenda amelala, ameenda amepata wife amelala ile side na mwingine amelala hii side. So yeye akalala. Of course they are godly guys, Christian, and they love God and they are born again. Akamwekelea mkono akamwombea. Aliposema amen akamwambia, please usahau kuniamsha 4, niko na flight. Na madam akaamka 4, akaandika ka note, amka 4 imefika, na akaweka hapo. Na akalala, na jamaa akalala. So wife Hazi, of course, alikuwa kuwe airport by 5, alipitwa. Akauliza, bibi, mbona hukuniamsha? Akaambia, nilikuamsha. Hukuona ka note? Niliandika ka note. So even we're talking about communication, we need to be very clear, concise. We need to be understandable on what we are saying, because those small things, how, you know, they say it's not what you say, but how you say it that matters. And you've seen people, you know, even in hotel rooms, even in not in hotel rooms basically, but in hotels, people are eating together, someone says something, puts the other off, chakula hata akuli, amekasirishana. So thank you for bringing that up, and I know that is part of what we have lined up in future shows. We will unpack these things because we want our marriages to grow. We want to connect and encourage each other even better. On to the panelists. I see Pastor Dennis has to say something.
Thank you so much, Pastor Moses. Even as you're talking about little foxes, something that just come up is about weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Focusing a lot on those weaknesses, even as Maureen is saying, the first things you used to do, and you, of course, the lovey-dovey was covering everything up. Yeah. But now into marriage, of course, there are weaknesses. You're becoming very true, revealing who you are to your partner, and every time unakuwa unatumia tu ile maneno ya umefanya hii tena, si ninakuambianga, it always keeps you off. Lazima tu, and it's something that people, they've not known how to handle it, and other than focusing more on the strengths, they focus more on the weaknesses, to a point that even when they are given microphones, like for example, I'm using this, ata kanisani ama mahali pengine, una expose your wife ama your husband, unaweza tumia tu kijina tu ama vile, unasema kikitu, and then when ukienda nyumbani, so I think it is important for us to know how to deal with weaknesses a lot, because those are things that they have caused disrespect and lack of love. I think it's important to know how to deal more and to tumia strength zaidi, other than focusing more on the weaknesses.